So welcome again, my friends. Let's continue set up our Express application. And now we're going to do two things. So the first one is going to be to set up core CMV, and I'm going to talk about that later. And then also we're going to add few middlewares. So middleware is going to help us with functionality to make sure they do us something. Okay, they help us, they make our life easier. There is middlewares that we're going to add for security, to secure our application. And there is ones to help speed up our application and make our application way faster. So let me show you how we gonna do this. So first of all, let's talk about core CMV and why we're gonna need this for this one. So when you work on your applications, there is the development phase. Now we're developing, there is few things, there's few console log that you see. Like for example, if you add something to the database, you wanna see it in the console so you know that it's something added to the database. Like there is few things that you only do in development that you don't want to do in production. So like for example, this application is hosted, like if someone made a request to the database, you don't want to see it. Like, you don't want to like make your server slower, but you know, showing these things on the console. So these things are only for the developments because they are needed. We need to monitor the application, see what's going on. So if we have an error, we can know which route we actually talking about, which route you're accessing, which database, which query we are doing to the database. Those things are only for the developments, and that's where comes to set a variable that says like we are in the development. And many people go to their env file like this and go right here and do not env, and then they will tell application now that we are in the development. Okay, so these tools that you're going to use, you're going to say, okay, if the node, if the process.env.node.env is the development, okay, that means we are in development mode, so you can do this. Okay, this is a way, but my preferable way is to use core CMV because that forces upon the starting of your server. What I mean by that is that if you go to your package.json, so right here you can add another, like you can add another script which is going to be dev. This is like yarn dev, and then we're going to do nodemon. Sorry, so it does only accept double quotes, so I'm going to go nodemon, okay, which is the same. Let me copy it. Okay, like that. But before that, we set an environment variable. How we do that? We just go node and then env, and then we see equal, and then we see development. Okay, but it's not really gonna work on every system that you have. It's not gonna go to that file and actually type something in it. It's not gonna be able to force it on every operating systems. Some operating systems might not allow it. Some settings might not allow it. So it's not really gonna work every time. So to make sure that it works everywhere in every operating system, every environment, we add this cross env right here. So let me install it first. I'm just gonna go right here and do yarn add and then cross env. Okay, and simply I'm gonna go right here and then cross and then env. That's it. And simply this is what it's gonna do. It's gonna set an environment variable, which is not env, which is like the global name for this, and it's going to be development. And this is very important. So for the start, we're just going to make this node because this is going to be our starting point for the production. What's going to say overwrite? Okay, let me close it and open it again because we were installing something. So let me see. Okay, did this install? Let me close it and install it first because so it does overwrite without any problem. Okay, like that. It's gonna do this first. Let me go back to my package. Okay, now I have it added here. So let me go back to here to explain. So this script start. This is gonna be in production. Like our application is hosted somewhere. So I wanna start it. How I'm gonna do it? I'm gonna use yarn start, which is simply use node, and it doesn't use nodemon because when your application is hosted somewhere, it's supposed to run once. You know, there is no changes that's happening in your code that you have to restart your server. So your server is always running. So that's why you can run just node, and it's always going to continuously running. You just knows how to handle error well. Okay, that's the idea. But while we are in development, we can actually use the core CMV to make sure we set this environment variable to development because we're going to need it, and then simply use nodemon and then run our application. So simply I can go now right here. So this is my application. I can just simply, instead of yarn start, I can go yarn dev like this. So now we're working something more professional. You can see server is listening, and I can actually now go back to my index and I can just say to make sure I can console log process.env.node and then env node environment, and then let me console log that, and you can see development. So this is the idea, and we can use that, variable and test whenever we want to use something only in development, and we will use it. And I hope I explained this very well.